Welcome to Guest Gusto, SCAD's virtual series of conversations and digital content with creators and innovators remaking culture. I'm Sophia Magnette.
And I'm Lakin Giles, and we're both performing arts students here at SCAD.
We are so excited to introduce Madelyn Cline, who is currently taking the world by storm in the hit Netflix series Outer Banks. The series remains one of the platform's top 7 shows, more than a month after the series release in April, and we are thrilled to have her here today.
Hi guys.
Before Outer Banks, Madelyn appeared in movies and TV shows from Boy Erased to Stranger Things to Vice Principals. She's made her mark in so many popular projects over the last 3 years. Bouncing between film and TV, she recently starred with Sophia Hublitz in the film What Breaks the Ice and will be next seen in the upcoming Blumhouse film Once Upon a Time in Staten Island, opposite Naomi Watts.
Heck yes. So we're going to start off with asking the viewers today's poll question with the chance to win a Lay's Studios Smile Pink puzzle. So which of your favorite role for Madelyn Cline is your favorite? Vice Principals, Boy Erased, Stranger Things, or Outer Banks? And we will check back in on the poll results later in the discussion.
I'm gonna vote. Okay, I voted.
All right, I voted.
Here we go.
Oh wait, I'm not supposed to vote.
No,
You
vote. You got it.
Okay.
You know it. You did it.
We'll have some time to ask her.
I cheated.
You guys have to wait.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Okay, so Madelyn, thanks so much for taking the time to chat with us. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Good. How's your quarantine?
Listen, it's quarantine. Just like everybody else, just making it through. It's been quite a wild ride since the show came out, so that's definitely been it's definitely kept us occupied during quarantine. It helped it, kind of move fast. And we're as a cast, like we're really enjoying, just seeing the show do what it's doing, and it's something that I don't think any of us really ever expected. So it's been fun. It's been really fun.
Yeah. So
yeah, I feel really. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I just love all your Instagram posts with the cast. It's so cute. It's like shenanigans or something. I love it.
It's tomfoolery.
Yes, tomfoolery. Yes.
Yeah, tomfoolery. It's so funny because obviously, like in quarantine, like the show came out April 15th. I might have that date wrong. But obviously we didn't really get to do like a lot of cast interviews. Like, we did some before the shutdown, but we didn't really get a chance to do any of that. So, we just started posting BTS, and I had a lot of videos that, just kind of show that our relationship on screen our relationship on screen is just an extension of our relationships in real life.
Yeah.
So it's like, why not just, in lieu of interviews, why not just post these videos? People can kind of get a taste of like, what we're like in real life and what it's like on the set, because it's truly like, it was such a fun experience, and our cast is so much fun. Like they really did an incredible job casting based off of personalities and chemistry. Mm-hmm. And so we just started posting things behind the scenes, and our showrunner Jonas was like, keep it coming. Like, I think people are really responding to it. And then it just snowballed into this. Yeah, it just snowballed into this series. And it was cool too, because, we kind of got to, relive it a little bit. It's like that 1-year marker, brings up memories and feelings and, like good feelings, especially from last summer. And so, going through and posting all these things, I kind of relived some of those memories. And it was just such a, it was fun to see people respond to it and enjoy it as much as we do as a cast. We kind of got to share that experience as much as we could.
Oh yeah, and we definitely saw the extension of the relationships. I love it all. I love it all.
Oh my God, there's so much too, and I wish. So I lost my phone last summer, and so there's so much that I had on my phone that I didn't get to share that I wish I could. But there's so many amazing memories that we kept. I can't wait to go back. And I know now, knowing that people respond so well to tomfoolery. I'm just like, hopefully, you know, if we're able to like do a second season, like we're definitely going to be keeping our cameras out even more,
Uh-huh.
just to like get as much as we possibly can.
Yes, please do, because I love them. We're fans.
Love that.
So I have my first like actory question. So
Okay.
Lakin and I are about to make the big jump out to LA. What advice do you have for actors beginning their first year in LA, and how'd you meet your agent? All that good stuff.
Yeah, so I started out with an agent in the Southeast. I'm lucky to have grown up in Charleston, so it's not too far from Atlanta, which is obviously a big hub in the Southeast.
Mm-hmm.
And also Wilmington as well. You know, when I was growing up, there was a lot of work in Wilmington, and just all up in the Southeast. And so I met my agent while I was here, and she has since become an incredibly close family friend. But
Mm-hmm.
she introduced me to some managers out in LA before I had moved out. It was when I was going to college. She introduced me to my managers, and they're like, "Why don't you take one semester and come out to LA
Yeah.
and do pilot season?" And I was like, "Okay, that sounds cool to me." And then, 6 weeks into college, I ended up booking Stranger Things and the originals, and there was no way they could work around the filming
Oh
schedule.
yeah.
So I decided that, you know what, like while I'm young and while I have this, I'm fortunate to have this money saved up from these jobs, why not just give it a shot? Like who knows what could happen. So packed up my dorm room and knew my life, and I moved out to LA. And I will say I had a pretty rough transition to LA. It definitely it felt like everything that could go wrong went wrong. It was definitely an example of Murphy's Law. And so but I will say, I mean, my advice to any actor moving out to LA is just stick with it. It's a big culture shock. At least it was for me. And LA is a very strange like place, at least in my opinion, especially moving from a small town in South Carolina. Um, it's uh, it's it can be tough,
Yeah.
but the best thing to do, in my opinion, is just to jump into some classes, jump into some type of community, like anything you can grasp, because it can feel lonely,
Mm-hmm.
and it does feel very saturated. But you're in the way that it's saturated, it's also a blessing because there's so many people who are like-minded and who are
Yeah.
going towards the same thing. And then, and I, I'm not sure if you have any connections to agents now or like how that's going to go. But, the best way I think to just, I've helped so many friends and roommates with this, just send out emails
Yeah.
to literally
Everyone.
any agent, really, truly. Like, I mean, even agents that say, I feel like I might get in trouble for saying this, but even agents that say no solicited or unsolicited emails or submissions taken, do it,
Mm-hmm.
because the thing is, like, they really do respect persistence. I know lots of actors who have submitted and submitted and submitted and just wouldn't quit, and they were given a chance or a shot because they were like, I just fine, fine, fine.
Yeah.
So I guess my thing is just like, the thing about LA is that LA is, it's tough, and the pace is so fast. But the thing is, like, if you hit hard back at LA and you just like keep grinding at it, that's the best way to get through it. I
Yeah.
promise. Yeah.
Persistence.
So kind
Yes.
of
100%.
piggybacking off of that, what do you think is the biggest lesson you learned your first year in LA?
I would definitely say persistence. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, just to piggyback off of that, truly. And trying to think, best lesson, truly patience.
Mm-hmm.
And also a big one for me, and I mean, it still applies too, but like, don't judge your own journey based off of somebody else's.
Yes. Yeah.
Because when I moved out, I had a roommate, and I met her on Stranger Things. Her name's Abby, and she got to LA. She already had an agent in LA, and so she was kind of set when she got out there. And she had a big agency. And so when she got out there, she immediately was in, tons of rooms, and I wasn't.
Yeah.
And so I would see her go to these auditions every day, sometimes twice a day, and and we were really close. And so I would drive her to her auditions, like just being super supportive. And honestly, it was kind of like biting into that pain of seeing someone else basically living out your dream.
Yeah.
And so like just like truly biting into that, and not letting your bitterness or jealousy rise because you're seeing someone else what do or be what you perceive is what you want. And so I think that don't compare yourself. Like, do not compare journeys, because you don't realize, if you're in classes and if you're working on, your craft, that's just as important as also getting into rooms. You can get into rooms but not be putting in work, and there are plenty of people who are.
Yeah.
But if you're putting in work and you're doing good work and you're also a really wonderful person to be around, you come in with a really good attitude, then that can go miles more than being in 30 audition rooms.
Mm-hmm.
So if that makes any sense.
No, that was awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
Oh no, I can't hear you.
Wait, can you hear me?
There we go.
I can, okay.
So when you first get a script or book a role, what's the first thing you do when creating a character?
So this is something that's still morphing for me. Like, I'm still trying to figure out, I'm not like formally trained. So I mean, I've taken classes in LA, which were phenomenal classes. Any sort of, in my opinion, and it's different for everyone, but any sort of class that, is, and I think that is play based, is really, really important, because it teaches you to sit with the material for long periods of time, and it really gives you perspective into how to approach the work. But for me, when I first get a script, I read through it, and then I go back over and I read through it really slowly first. And so I try to absorb as much information, and I try to feel what's going on, and like let myself be vulnerable to it. And then I go back over, and then I try to get really, really familiar with it, like almost like as if it's kind of like almost like you almost know it by heart. Not memorized. I'm not talking about like knowing it verbatim, but like knowing what's going on. And keeping that initial and then keeping that initial kind of wonder about the script. Like when you first read through it, it's as if you're experiencing it for the first time. And so, keeping that initial emotion that I first felt, and then, kind of every single time, going through it, or even on the day when you're on set, kind of sitting in the circumstances, and letting yourself kind of absorb those circumstances, so that when you're going into it, obviously it subconsciously and it's there, but the work that you've done beforehand, that preparation is kind of bubbling underneath the surface. And so that's kind of my rough outline of how I like to approach it, because I don't like to feel too rehearsed. I really do like to go in and, I really do like to beat it up with, my partner. And I think in that way, Outer Banks is really cool, because, we really do beat it up. We do the scenes so often. So by the end of it, it really does feel like it's second nature. You're reacting and you have the freedom, because you kind of, what's going on, and your lines kind of subconsciously, because the work you've done in preparation is showing up for you on the day. You have the freedom to read what's going on in your partner's face and bounce off, like back and forth off of them. And so that's kind of like my approach to it, and I'm still learning, but that's what I've learned. And what's really great about being on Outer Banks or a TV show is that you're working like 5-6 months out of the year, and you're doing it every day, and so it truly is like a master class.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
So, Self-tapes are a huge part of an actor's career, especially now after all this. What do you do to make your self-tapes stand out? Because they clearly do. Or if you have any tips for actors on mastering the self-tape.
Phew. I'm just gonna I'm just gonna
I know
frame
that's
this
a
with
big one.
I hate self tapes. I
Yeah.
absolutely despise them. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, obviously they're a calling card and we have to do them, but it's just they're no fun. But
Hmm.
I do think what's great about self tapes is that you do have the freedom to go back and edit and be your own director. And so that's cool. But it also in a way you could be making a really specific choice and you're not sure. It's definitely a risk. Um, then you can always send in multiple tapes or takes. But anyways, I digress. I think for making a self tape stand out, um, I think given the opportunity that you can take as much time as you want with it, really digging in deep with the script and spending a lot of time with it, and I think being able to do several takes instead of necessarily being kind of rushed out of a casting room. And I think find a friend who you feed off of really well, who doesn't just sit there and read lines. Maybe find someone who will bounce off of you, and who will kind of give you something to feed off of. And I think you know I think specificity is also really important too. Like, using your own, like using your surroundings, like I know this is a really basic thing, but choosing, or when you have a scene that's standing or whatever, like stand. If you have a scene that's sitting, sit, find, if you're rummaging through a bag or you have, your character's drinking something, like I find sometimes that, especially with self tapes, because I'm nervous and I feel awkward, sometimes if you have something that you're fiddling with, like even right now, like I'm kind of, doing things with my hands and I'm, whatever, that makes it really human. That makes it very relatable. Hand gestures and movements, those are all things that make it more human than, because like if you think about it, self tapes and sitting there in front of a camera and delivering lines, like that's not natural at all.
Yeah.
It's so unnatural. And so anything that it's almost like kind of it's almost like you're not dilute but dispersing your energy. Like you're kind of putting your energy in multiple places.
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely, it feels more natural to me. And I think, I mean, obviously the basics, like having good lighting, like making sure they can see your eyes and your face. And eyeline, another thing too is if there's multiple people, make sure you're addressing multiple people with your eyes,
Mhm.
or even just using either side of the camera. I mean, it's those little things,
Yeah.
but yeah, those are my tips and tricks.
Great.
You kind of touched
Yeah,
on it, but what was it like dealing with all the success that came from Outer Banks while in quarantine? You can't really leave it.
it's very strange. It's exciting. It's really exciting, but it's very strange, because obviously there are things that you kind of expected going into the show, and whatever, like potentially doing like a press tour that we were all really really excited about, and like we didn't quite get to do that, which is totally okay. We still ended up doing like virtual press tour,
Yeah.
but the only gauge we had, because we were in lockdown, was kind of on our phones, like through a screen, and that doesn't really feel tangible. That doesn't feel real, and so we were really only able to gauge it through social media. And so really it didn't, I don't think it quite hit us that, oh, show's doing really, like really well. I don't think it quite hit us until a little bit later. And so it was interesting, and I don't think, like, still a lot of it just doesn't really feel real.
Mm.
It feels, it still feels like, we're this little Netflix show that feels very indie and, super casual and, we're just having a good time. It doesn't, it's, you always, like if I try to take myself out of it, I look at shows that have done really well that I was a fan of, and the way you look at it as a consumer of it is completely different from when you're on the other side of it. And it's one of those things that as an actor, you see shows that you're a fan of, and the cast is a lot of fun. Like I would love, I would crap my pants if I was ever like a part of something like that. And then, you turn around and you are, and you actually are. And it feels like the most surreal thing ever. It's one of those things. It's like, oh, shoot, I can't believe this is happening. But it's cool though, because, you're honestly just like going through it with your best friend.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Great answer. Thank you. So you gave such an incredible and honest performance of Sarah Cameron. I'm a huge fan of the show. My mom's a huge fan. Lakin's a huge fan. So what was the audition experience like for that role?
Crazy.
Yeah.
It was not at all the way I pictured. It was not at all the way I pictured an audition experience to go. When I had gone, I'd gotten pretty close to some other roles before, and there was like auditions, and then there were multiple callbacks, and then there were producer sessions and director sessions, and then screen tests. Like it was, the amount of times that I went in was just like it kind of, just dizzying. And then you come so close, and then it's nothing. And so that's always a bummer. And so with this one, with Outer Banks, I remember I didn't even audition in LA for it. I actually I have a really, really great relationship with Lisa May Finkin, who is our regional casting director, or East Coast casting director for Outer Banks, and she contacted my Southeast agent Carla, and she's like, "Hey, I want Maddie to pay for this." And so I was like, I remember reading the breakdown. It said like 4 friends on a treasure hunt, and I was like, that's weird. I don't know. I feel like I'm a little old for that. And so she's like, no, trust me, like you should read for it. I think it's gonna be really cool, and you should read this script. And so I did. I read the first script, and then I paid for it, and they sent like 4 more, and they were like, hey, can you come to Charleston and read for Sarah? Because I had initially read for Kiara. And I was like, yeah, I would much rather read for Sarah. And sure, that's fine. I mean, I can go see my parents and, have some time off in LA. So I got there, and, I walked in, and I started chatting with this girl in the production office, and it turns out it was our director's and showrunner's daughter, Lila. And we hit it off, and then Jonas Pate walks in, and I didn't know, he didn't tell me his name, whatever. We were talking, we were having a good time talking about SoundCloud rappers. And he's like, oh, by the way, I'm Jonas Pate. I was like, oh, you're supposed to be my boss. I'm like, okay. And so I walked in, like I did my callback, and he was like, okay, can you come back tomorrow for chemistry read? And I was like, okay. And so I came back the next day and did chemistry reads. It was really good. And he basically said to me, he pulled me aside, he said, you don't want Netflix to say no. So basically come back in and like right now, and we'll do your audition, like all of your scenes, every which way possible, so that Netflix can say no. So I was like, well, that's a good sign. And I went home that night feeling really great. And I had my flight booked back to LA. So we went back to LA, and then Jonas called me on that week sometime, and he was like, hey, can you come to the production office? Like, there's just some, I want you to meet our stunt coordinator and see when we can get you in voting lessons. And I was like, Jonas, I'm in LA. And he was like, what the hell? Like, we need you in Charleston. So I was like, this sounds, I feel like I should maybe pack up everything. So I did. And he told me, he said, in my mind, we had already told you that you had the role, but like, it, you know, whatever.
Just forgot.
Anyway, and so, right. And so the offer came through, and it just all happened so fast. It was just very fast. And it was not at all what I expected. The process of auditioning for a series regular on a Netflix show would be. But yeah, no, it's crazy.
Oh my God, that's so fun.
Yeah.
Well, the cast for the show is so amazing. What do you think is the most important thing for the cast to be so successful?
I think for the show, I think the thing that we've realized has really, really resonated is our relationships on screen, and then as well as off screen. I think it feels rare that you have a group of like such a big group of people that immediately kind of feel at home with each other. Mm-hmm. And in that regard, I think, you know, it's just, it felt kind of like Kismet. Honestly, you know, you have all these people from all over who just came together and just really enjoyed being around each other completely at random. And so I think what really ended up helping Outer Banks a lot was our friendship, because that translated on screen so well. And I think our writers as well, you know, they gave us a lot of freedom. You know, if we have thoughts, or, you know, we want to add in like this little bit of, you know, improv, or if, you know, JD and Rudy are just starting to go off on like some sort of improv tangent about like who would win in a fight, if it's like a taco or a hamburger, you know, they have that, they're shooting it. And so it's just it's capturing those moments of true friendship, and that doesn't feel forced. Mm-hmm. It feels really organic, that I think really, really aided us in the making of the show.
I mean, I saw it. Like the friendships just seemed so real. I mean, it was amazing.
It seemed like almost like documentary style.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing is when I first auditioned and I was talking to Jonas, he was like, we want this to feel kind of documentary-esque. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that, him saying that, and then they had this massive wall in the production office of just concept art. And it like spread, it was on one wall and it went into the conference room, around the conference room wall. And
that's so awesome.
Yeah, it was so cool. But it was very like, it had, you know, references to like Lords of Dogtown and just, you know, for the Pogues. And it was just very fun. And when he said documentary style, I was all in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just felt very unique.
Mm-hmm, for sure. So what was it like, and you kind of touched on this, but what was it like going back to your hometown and filming a Netflix series? That has to be like insane.
It's crazy. I know. I moved all the way to LA to come back. My bank account wept. No, it was at first my first reaction when I saw it shot in Charleston was reluctant, because I was like, I don't know, I kind of want to go somewhere other than my home. Like, it'd be cool to, I don't know, maybe not go home.
Yeah.
and because when I left Charleston, I ran for the hills out. Yeah. And so, but honestly, I fell back in love with Charleston and the Southeast, truly, because I think, you know, we were just also in love with the project, and it kind of just ended up seeping into our lives. But it was cool. It was really fun to kind of, you know, it was kind of fun to play tour guide, you know, with everybody, and, you know, kind of show them all like my favorite restaurants, and, you know, and know where I was going. And it also gave a sense of comfortability with Sarah that I think that I'm really lucky to have already had, in that I didn't have to work to feel at home in my circumstances. I already felt completely at ease. So that was really cool. But it was mostly just, you know, it was fun to kind of fall back in love with the area. And, you know, if my parents wanted to go to work, it wasn't, or to see, to set, it wasn't coordinating flights or anything. It was just like, hey, what does Monday look like for you? What about Tuesday? You know, and they got to come visit. And that was the first time my dad had ever come to set. And he's an engineer, so this is completely not his world at all. So it was really cool to be able to share that and to be, proud of where I'm from.
Yeah.
Sophie and I both saw you in Boy Erased at Savannah Film Festival.
Amazing.
What was it like acting alongside Nicole Kidman?
Wild,
Yeah.
crazy, inconceivable. It was really, really cool. She's such a sweetheart and so amazing. She and just very, very giving.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't interact a lot with her off camera because I don't know specifically about her process or anything, but she seems to be one who really stepped into her characters even when the cameras weren't rolling, and so obviously out of respect, of the process, but she truly did embody her character on and off screen, and I had read the book prior, obviously, and she was every bit Garrett's mom that Garrett's mom actually was, and his mom was on set on the days that I was on set during the making of the movie, and those two were inseparable. And so, and also just like watching a seasoned actor, like a really masterful actor work it's actually, it feels transformative. And watching them do their scenes, it feels like a masterclass because they'll get it done in 2 takes, maybe 3. It's actually incredible to see the way their body, they're like shapeshifters, kind of. Even Russell Crowe as well.
Yeah.
He went up. Wait, what was that?
Especially in Boy Erased, I mean.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even like the way, he changes like his body and like his hair and his accent, and Nicole as well. They, to watch them shapeshift and become a character is just mind blowing. And, so you're just sitting there and you're watching. There is a moment where Russell had a monologue, and, he's speaking to a congregation, and you're just watching him do this, and you're just like in awe. Like you just can't stop. Like it's magnetic, and so you're just soaking in as much as you possibly can by watching them. And it's truly like I vividly remember being able to work with them and just watching them, while we were in the scenes. Obviously trying to stay, do my job and stay.
Yeah, and not be like, that's Nicole Kidman.
I just want to listen to you.
Yeah.
I just want to watch. You're just kind of in awe of their work. But yeah, no, it's truly, it's pretty incredible to watch a really masterful actor do their work.
Yeah. Well, a little bit of a tangent, but you had a lot of physically demanding scenes in Outer Banks, on land and off. What did the preparation look like for those scenes, and what was that experience like?
They obviously we had some boat training, and we had some swimming lessons. They just wanted to make sure that we weren't just saying we could swim, we could actually swim. And I think, or we had, and also some of the fight scenes as well, that we had fight training, or like, blocking or choreography. But they would take us, and it was like a dance, really. They would choreograph every step, every character's move, and it was really cool because it's also, for me, I've always been like a big fan of action movies and TV shows, and so it's always been kind of like one of those things I really, really wanted to do, is be able to do like fight training, or stunt whatever. And I remember growing up in specifically with Parts of the Caribbean, I had the extended feature DVD thing where I would like put in like disc 3, and I would watch the making of all these like, fight scenes, and I was like, wow, like that looks like so much fun.
Yeah.
And so to be able to do that was kind of like a little dream come true for sure. And it's definitely not as fun as they make it look on those DVDs because it's really hot and, you know, you're tired and whatever. But it is fun.
Mhm.
And it's really fun when, you know, on the day when everybody knows what they're doing, you know, you're really getting into it. You know, that level of physicality is feels immersive almost. You know, like you're on the day, like you're in this and everybody's going at 100% and it feels like you're in that moment, which is really fun.
Yeah. So what do you think you're looking for in your next role? Like what story do you want to tackle next?
That's a good question. I'm still trying to figure that out myself. I'm really, really blessed to be able to have, you know, doors open now that I didn't before. But I think for the next opportunity, I'd really love to kind of revisit, like maybe like indie world, you know, maybe I would love to be able to do a movie. I really, really want to tell, I mean, obviously want to tell, you know, female centric stories, but, you know, stories that we haven't heard before, you know, regarding women and really be a part of helping perpetuate and push really inclusive filmmaking. But
Cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you. That was an awesome, awesome answer. So we are going to move on to some questions from some audience members. But before that, we have the answer to our poll question. And obviously, it was Outer Banks by 98%. So.
Okay, I'm going to pick one.
Yeah, you pick one, girl. You got it.
Okay. What is your favorite Outer Banks scene? Or what was your favorite one to film?
That's a good one.
I mean, I have two answers.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think we all really like the dock scene in episode 4. That was a fun one because the rain was not planned, and so that was completely surprise. Filming almost, you know, had to, you know, they were either like, we either shoot in the rain or we don't shoot at all. And I remember Chase, Jonas, and I all looked at each other. Let's shoot. Like, let's do modern day Notebook, man.
Really though?
With Nicholas Sparks. and so
awesome.
And so we shot it, and it just felt it was just such a fun, like, you know, just spur of the moment kind of thing. And, you know, obviously we checked with our crew to make sure they were okay with standing in the rain with us.
Yeah.
But it was such a fun, you know, with that added element to it, just made it so fun. It was so cool. It's just like one of those things, it just happens and it's perfect. And it was everything that, you know, we wanted it to be after reading the script, and just super romantic. And then I also, you know, I really, I would say it's not my favorite scene because I hate the scene. It makes me, it's gut wrenching to watch. But any of the scenes on the tarmac, those were really. I think that was the first time as an actor I was so horrified by what was being presented to me circumstantially that I didn't feel like I had to force any emotion. And that was, you know, to feel that kind of like taking over is a really powerful thing. But obviously it's horrible to watch.
But it's such a powerful scene. It really is.
It's a very, for sure.
Screen.
Yeah, it's very powerful. But I think as far as shooting wise, that was definitely that was kind of like a big light bulb moment for me as an actor.
So Yasmin has asked, what do you like most about Sarah? I know that's gotta be hard.
I like that Sarah I like that Sarah just does what she wants. I like that about her. That was, I mean, that's what initially attracted me to her. And I like that, you know, sometimes she's a little cocky. You know, she knows how to, you know, get what she wants in circumstances, and she definitely uses that to her advantage. She's a little cheeky. But she also, I think she has a side of her that is very, it is insecure, and is very much still, like, you know, learning to be herself and to love herself.
Great answer.
Oh, I have one. Okay. So this is from Courtney. She says, "Hi, Madelyn. Is there a moment where you personally related to the character you were playing? And did that make it more difficult or easier?"
I think, when did I? Yes. Okay. So there is a scene in the bell tower with John B. There's the, you know, this little tangent Sarah goes on about, you know, I'm afraid that you'll see who I am and you won't like it. And that felt very real to me. Just, you know, through not just even, you know, relationships like romantically, but also friendships and, you know, any other relationship, like work relationships, just be, you know, kind of living with like intense anxiety. You know, that is a very real emotion, that I have felt often. And so I relate to that kind of, you know, keeping people at bay, to so that you don't feel like you can get hurt. And so that was a very real thing to me, and I feel like it definitely made it easier. That emotion was already there. So yeah.
Great. So Francis asks, what is something you wish someone would have told you before you started acting? I can speak. Acting.
Y'all are hitting me with these questions.
I know, I'm sorry.
No, they're good. I'm I think if I mean, people did tell me this before, but don't compare yourself, and, you know, don't be so hard on yourself. I mean, I think it's good to be hard on yourself because you're constantly trying to be better. I think that's different from beating yourself up. And I think that's a big thing that I've learned, you know, don't beat yourself up because that's not productive.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh my gosh. Wait, I'm trying to find one. Now everyone's saying, "I love you."
Here,
I love you.
Can I do an easy one?
You pick one.
What's your favorite pastime during quarantine? Like,
wait, what is my favorite what sign?
Pastime.
Pastime.
Yeah.
I am I'm really guilty of just scrolling through my phone.
I do the same thing, girl.
It's so bad.
All day,
especially because, yeah, quarantine has made that habit even worse. I think favorite pastime, FaceTime has become my best friend. I will FaceTime anyone and just call them multiple times if they're ignoring me. And I've been trying to read more. I've been trying to learn to play guitar.
Ooh, nice.
Learn is the key word. What else? I've been playing a lot of video games.
Nice.
There you go.
Call of Duty has been a favorite of ours.
Are you on TikTok?
TikTok is another one. TikTok, and I hate to say that's a pastime, but it's one of my favorite pastimes.
Oh, same here.
Yeah, it's great too when you're on the side of TikTok that is exactly your humor.
Yes, that's
Yes.
really
You just can't stop.
Alt TikTok, right?
Alt TikTok.
Yes.
I like to call it Vine TikTok.
Yes, that's the best.
You know?
Okay. So, Sarah. We'll say Sarah.
You got it. You recovered.
What is your favorite quote from the show? They want to know.
Favorite quote from the show. I love that line that I'm sure I'm missing one right now, but I love that line where okay, I have two, where JJ has a blunt and he's like virtual reality and flicks it out of his hand. I'm pretty sure no, that wasn't improv. Anyways, I think that's a funny line. I also really love Dead Body.
What?
Dead Body. I have a sticker on my computer that says Dead Body.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, you ask the next one. I'm not asking again.
I know, I gotta find one. There's so many. Oh, this is actually good. Okay, got a good one. Manuela, I'm so sorry. If you didn't play Sarah, who from Outer Banks would you play? Doesn't have to be a girl. Any character.
JJ.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
I totally would. JJ is a really fun character.
Wait, this one's kind of fun. So which of the songs that were played on Outer Banks was your favorite?
So many good ones.
Oof. So, okay, this isn't in the show, but our trailer has a song by Jungle called Time. And Jungle is one of my favorite artists. And so I was super, super stoked when they put that in the trailer, but I love that song. I also, it's even though I can't listen to it now, I love Left Hand Free.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's such, and I can't pronounce Khruangbin. Anyways, they also have a few songs in the show, and they're really vibey. And any of the I also one in the fight scene with Topper and John B on the beach. There's this kind of like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like rap, kind of reggae-ish.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's fun. It's very fun. Fine. I wish I knew the sound or the name of the song, but it's in the soundtrack. Yeah.
Let me. Oh, okay. Random one. But what's your favorite food? From Melanie. Yes.
I'm gonna go with some good old homemade mac and cheese.
There you go.
Yeah.
This one's good. If you weren't acting, what would you want to be doing for a career? That's hard.
I've always been super, super interested in interior design. I think I also really enjoyed, like, I used to tutor English, and I always really enjoyed, working with kids. So maybe something like teaching. And I don't know, maybe like a kayak tour guide.
Oh yeah.
There you go. Very profession. I love it.
It sounds fun. I don't know, maybe parasailing. Skydiver, professional.
I love it.
That was something fun. I don't know. Yeah.
So this question is from Laura. With your social media becoming such a large part of your career, how do you balance influence of social media in your personal life and your professional life? Balancing all
That's
that.
That's a good question. I'm still figuring that out. It's because before the show I wasn't super active on social media. It just was never like my first thought to like pull my phone out and start like taking videos, or whatever. So it's definitely kind of changed the way that, if there's something, going on, if there's something funny going on, like always pulling out my phone to record it. But as we see the tomfoolery, but it's definitely difficult to manage because social media can be super all-consuming, especially with so many platforms. You know, you've got Instagram, you've got TikTok, you've got Twitter, I'm a big fan of Reddit. And so they can be, especially in quarantine when it feels like there's nothing to do, so it can be very all-consuming. And you know, with everything going on with the show, you know, we have responsibilities, and we also have responsibilities on the social media, and then obviously your responsibility to yourself to make sure you're taking care of yourself, and also your responsibility to, you know, your family and friends or whatever. So it's definitely it feels like a little bit more to juggle. So I try to put like a timer on what I'm doing, you know.
Yeah.
So I try to, you know, especially obviously sometimes I don't adhere to that at all, but I try to focus on, you know, if I'm going to scroll through it, I'm going to take like, I don't know, if I really want to indulge, I'll just take like 30 minutes or even let myself like scroll through for an hour and then like get up and go do something, like go work out or, you know, do yoga or go on a walk or, you know, like check in with family and friends. But I try to kind of just make sure I'm like allotting time for other things as well.
That's awesome.
I think we have time for one more. I think so.
Yeah.
I just saw it. Where did it go? What is your favorite memory on set?
Okay. I remember, I think, so my favorite memory, it's not a funny one. It's just a very sweet memory. It was a night that I was officially picture wrapped on set, and I didn't really get, so at the beginning of the show there was a whole lot of boat work with the Pogues and you know, going in the marshes and whatever, and I obviously wasn't a part of that, and so, you know, but I was able to do some things on the water a little bit later, and it was the night I was wrapped on like for good, and it was sunset, and we were in the Pogue boat, and we were, you know, racing back to the chateau to, you know, to wrap everything up and to pack up base camp, and it was just kind of really magical. It was like a beautiful, really wonderful sunset, and we were just all kind of sitting at the front of the boat, just kind of like soaking it in, and there were dolphins, and there were those, I think I could be wrong, there are those birds that dive into the water, and they were all in a group, and it was just it just felt like the soul of Outer Banks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for answering all of our questions. You have been amazing, amazing, amazing. So
thanks for letting me ramble.
oh my gosh, it was not rambling. You're so good. And thanks for everyone for tuning in. Be sure to join us later. Yeah, be sure to join us later today at 6 p.m. when we will discuss the global health crisis with Neil Howe.
Yeah, and on a lighter note, on Friday, we have the executive producer, Mariam McGowan, from Hulu's hit series, The Great, joining us at 6. So thank you again, Madeline, and we can't wait to see what's in store for you next. So have a great day.
Thank y'all.
You were amazing. Thank you so much.
No, y'all are snaps for all of you.
Thank you. All the snaps.
Bye.